Psalm 119 concludes with 174 to 176. Let my soul live and it will praise you. Psalm 119:174, I long for your salvation, O Lord, and your law is my delight. If you recall how this psalm began back in Psalm 119:1 began, it is going to conclude in the same way. How happy are those whose way is blameless, who live according to the Lord's instruction. HCSB. Through the course of this psalm, David has revealed his progress in learning to delight in God's divine and holy word. On this side of the cross, the progress of the born-again person is the same, albeit in our time, by the renewing, sanctifying power of God's indwelling Holy Spirit. We come to him by the conviction of his Spirit through the blood of God's Son, a perfect and willing sacrifice, whose love and offering appeased the wrath of God that stands against all humanity. Christ's sacrificial death paid a debt that he didn't owe for those of us who owe a debt that we could never pay, enabling all who choose to be reconciled to our Creator, opening the gate to restoration to the state of the creation, body, soul, and spirit. You should remember the words of creation in Genesis 1:26-27, Then God said, Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. They will rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, all the earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth. 27 So God created man in his own image, he created him in the image of God, he created them male and female. When you are born anew, God places the Helper, his Spirit within us, and if you have not repented and received his Spirit, you are still walking in the domain of darkness. Ephesians 1:14 tells us that his Spirit is God's guarantee that he will give us the inheritance he promised and that he has purchased us to be his own people. He did this, so we would praise and glorify him. Psalm 119:175-176, Let my soul live, and it shall praise you, and let your judgments help me. 176 I have gone astray like a lost sheep, seek your servant, for I do not forget your commandments. He wishes to live, not for any personal gain, rather this formerly lost sheep has assimilated the good shepherd's desire, which is to seek and gather the scattered sheep, returning them to the true fold. He expresses his desire to continue participating by praising his Lord and sharing the deep insight that he has received from the Lord. The Apostle Paul would later share this same compelling desire in 2 Corinthians 5:1-10. Paul inadvertently offers a fitting conclusion for the many applications that we have learned from David, an archetype of Christ. In application to our own lives, Paul writes, For we know that when this earthly tent we live in is taken down, that is, when we die and leave this earthly body, we will have a house in heaven, an eternal body made for us by God himself and not by human hands. We grow weary in our present bodies, and we long to put on our heavenly bodies like new clothing. For we will put on heavenly bodies, we will not be spirits without bodies. While we live in these earthly bodies, we groan and sigh, but it's not that we want to die and get rid of these bodies that clothe us. Rather, we want to put on our new bodies so that these dying bodies will be swallowed up by life. God himself has prepared us for this, and as a guarantee he has given us his Holy Spirit. So we are always confident, even though we know that as long as we live in these bodies we are not at home with the Lord. For we live by believing and not by seeing. Yes, we are fully confident, and we would rather be away from these earthly bodies, for then we will be at home with the Lord. So whether we are here in this body or away from this body, our goal is to please him. For we must all stand before Christ to be judged. We will each receive whatever we deserve for the good or evil we have done in this earthly body.